Thank you, Adam.
Sure. My best friend from high school has been a guru in the broadcast radio business for many years, traveling the world giving seminars. The other day I saw something he wrote on Facebook about how one of his former seminar attendees had been doing great work with a website written on behalf of children. I responded with a cheery comment to the effect that my friend had no idea how many other people's lives he had affected. He demurred that he was not claiming any influence on the man's accomplishments. Then the man wrote to say that yes, I was right, and then ticked off several things he had learned from my friend that had guided his work. My thesis this morning is that we all live two lives at the same time, that we hardly ever experience one of them, but other people do, and that life we do not experience can sometimes be far greater than the one of which we are so constantly aware. Something that I am not saying is that we all share in a universal life that is the real life, as opposed to the individual lives we imagine ourselves to be living. This is not about Buddhist enlightenment or anything else that, at least for me, is so difficult to grasp. Instead, I hope you will find what I say to be something essentially obvious, something we know is true but we seldom appreciate. And if you agree with me about the life you do not experience, perhaps that can enrich the one you do. First, about that life you do experience. It goes by many names: ego, self-absorption, that little voice that's always talking to you inside your head. It is the entity that we have in mind when we use the phrase, my life. Other than what some perceive as a separate, immortal soul, this my life combination of experience and reflection is all we consider our lives to be. You may ask, what else can there be? I live my life, you live yours, we interact, but our lives are our own. My contention is that what other people experience of my life makes up my other life. They could not have those experiences without my life existing, while I cannot have those experiences in the way I experience the my life that I always have in mind. As I am speaking to you, I can't sense exactly what you are sensing, but you are sensing my life. My words are washing across your mind. At any given moment, most of you are looking in my direction. If I am most successful, some combination of my words and my appearance will make welcome impressions on you that you will carry in your consciousness for hours or days or maybe longer. I hope, of course, the impressions will remain somewhere in your mind the rest of your life and arise to your consciousness from time to time when they can do some good. But of course, I also realize some number of you may go away with mainly negative impressions, and that those may last as long as anything positive I've tried to convey. Meanwhile, you are receiving impressions from the other people in this room. The colorful clothing, or their stifled yawns, or their tendency to squirm, all fail to escape your notice. If you are with any family members or close friends, every few minutes you may be receiving some bit of intentional communication. A smile, a pat on the back, or depending on what the other person thinks about what I say, a nod of agreement or a pair of rolling eyes. What you are doing at this moment is experiencing my life and to a lesser extent the lives of the quiet people around you. What's more, I do not see the moments of my life that you see. I am not seeing my gestures or my clothing or my unruly hair. I do hear my words, but the timbre is different inside my head from what the sound waves do across 40 feet of space. You receive my words with a freshness that I cannot because I've already written them. Even if I were speaking without a prepared text, some of my words would still mean different things to each of you from what they mean to me. And these are moments when I am intensely focused on how I am presenting myself to you. In much of the rest of my life, I pay less attention to the impressions people are having of me, sometimes very little at all. And whether I am focused or not, I don't know how other people are experiencing the impressions of me that they are sensing. At work the other day, a woman told my coworker that she really liked my shirt. My old brown shirt. I was oblivious to it, but to her eyes, I was offering beauty. We've all heard about the butterfly in Asia triggering the hurricane in America. But I suspect the butterfly is already dead by the time the storm hits. People have greater impact than butterflies, and all sorts of things we'd never imagine will happen ages from now, partly because we did or did not run that red light yesterday. But I'm not talking about some ultimate total impact of your life. I'm trying to be careful to distinguish the lives we live and that are experienced by those around us from any cosmic ripples that a future historian might be able to trace between something we said or did and the eventual Third World War. Every active thing, humans, animals, plants, microbes, volcanoes, solar storms, can play the game of incalculable future impact equally mindlessly. That is not the same as what is happening while we are actually alive and we are thinking about our lives and we are experiencing and incorporating the lives around us. I also want to be clear that there is no standard scope attached to this other life so that everyone gets a fair share. It is not an eternal life for every soul, one size fits all. It is not assurance that everyone is part of the same universal life. The scope of this other life I'm talking about varies tremendously, including the simple variable of how long the person is able to live. People who are highly involved with other people, whether in person or through communications, will probably live greater other lives than people who live in isolation. But that's greater in scope, by no means necessarily greater in goodness or in happiness or in love. Many great lives have been lived that were experienced miserably by most of the people who were exposed to them. For a miserable personal example, although certainly not great, I offer myself as a board game player. I love playing complex board games and will play them for days at a time. Until recent years, I always thought of myself as someone others enjoy sharing a game with. After all, I play fair and not well enough to win very often. But lately I've come to realize that my strong habit of vocally chastising myself for poor plays really has made a lot of people uncomfortable for a whole lot of years. I was always so focused on my own temporary unhappy experience of my life that I ignored indications from my family that they were not enjoying my life at those moments either. Maybe I would have behaved much the same regardless, but I think that considering the experience everyone was having of my life would have moderated my behavior and allowed people more enjoyment from being with me. You can see that I am not talking about anything supernatural, not something that cannot be directly experienced. The only catch is, even though it is your life, you are not the one doing the experiencing. Everyone else around you is experiencing you, and it is all just as real to them as what you experience when you touch them or hear them or receive some communication from them. So what's the point here? If I'm not revealing a spiritual mystery about the nature of your life, what am I offering you at a religious service? After all, the fact that our lives affect the lives of other people is something we realize as children. And I certainly don't want to encourage people to go deeper into the emotional trap of directing their lives primarily by what other people think about them. I'm not preaching a path to happiness. Greater happiness may arise from greater appreciation for the fullness of our lives, as I hope was the case with my radio guru friend, but greater sorrow and other emotions may be just as likely. Instead, I hope you will agree that your life literally exists beyond the limits of what you experience it to be. Maybe this is a kind of Buddhism light, Roger, I don't know. The ego-centered life that most of us usually lead may not be an illusion in the way that enlightenment would suggest, but neither is it the totality of your life that it feels like every waking moment. Instead, I think it is only a small part of your life. The greater portion is experienced by those in your presence. Success coaches like Mr. Ginsberg, whom I quoted in the readings, teach their clients to learn how people perceive them and to act in ways that will make other people's perceptions more positive. That way, the clients can increase their chances of achieving their goals. I'm not here to discount such strategies, but speaking in a religious service, I'm emphasizing something different. I want you to more fully appreciate not just who you are, but what you are. You are a being whose life extends beyond your body and your mind. You may or may not be universal. You may or you may not be eternal. But you are more than the physical and mental entity you perceive yourself to be. You are also every vibration that every person around you and everything around you receives from your body and your mind. I'll leave it to each of you to define vibration either spiritually or scientifically, but I think most of us will agree something emanates from each of us. If, like me, you do not believe your individual self to be universal or eternal, then you may also believe that when you cease, so will the vibrations, and their absence will be felt. As I said, the ripples of your life may go on forever, but the life that you experience and your other life that other people experience arrive together and they depart together. Your life then is greater than you normally feel it to be, but remaining as fragile as ever, it is even more precious. It is something even more marvelous to contemplate and to appreciate and to live wisely. Our desire to do so is what brings us to this place. We gather together each week to experience the lives of other human beings we love and respect, whether it be our new young minister or our oldest friends. We integrate that experience and project it in our own lives wherever we go. Many of our neighbors and co-workers attend religious services that are more focused on particular theologies than ours are. In UU congregations, we know we may experience spiritual insights through the lives of those who seek the truth in love, whoever they are and however we experience their lives. When we live our lives well through that understanding, others will experience what we are becoming, and some will be drawn to that light that we allow to shine. Sometimes you will want to hide that light. Sometimes you will not want to express yourself. But if you live your life that way, you are severely limiting it, because you are not letting other people experience it. Anyone who knows me well knows I routinely fall short of the ideals I am advocating here. Lately, it's been especially painful for me to realize my grandchildren are experiencing a lot of the same kinds of immature role modeling from me that my children endured. And I don't have all that much time left to become mature. Still, in some respects, I think I am doing better, and part of that involves trying to more fully experience each child's other life to better understand her and him. And in board games, I'm trying very hard to utter no more than a single note of exasperation every time I screw up. Maybe Patty will vouch for me on that. I think I've reached the point in a standard sermon where I am supposed to exhort you to go forth and sin no more. But of course, around here I'm exhorting you to go forth and keep helping one another. That may mean an act of direct service for someone else, but usually it means just keep being your best self. at least most of the time. That best you helps everyone in your life. They are experiencing your life in ways you'll never know. And throughout our lives, we all want to experience the best. Thank you.